over the past several weeks, SEALSQ, ticker symbol LAES, has been doing a very good job communicating with their investors as they've been having press release after press release. And when you take a step back and you connect the dots with what everything means, I actually think management is building towards something much bigger. And I don't think that this story is necessarily about cars or even one specific product anymore. Shout out to the video I made yesterday talking about their expansion into the automotive industry. Now, one of the biggest reasons that I'm saying this is because the U.S. government has already begun preparing for it. And what it is I'm going to be explaining with you today is what this means, what it is I'm getting at, and why there's now a 3-year push towards post-quantum cybersecurity, and how SEALSQ believes it's positioning itself to benefit from that transition. And as always, this is not financial advice, quick disclaimer. So I'm simply sharing my own research and opinions. So Q-Day is not something that's just for SEALSQ LAES, but it's for the whole quantum market, just to be clear. I just put LAES here because, again, we're covering SEALSQ today. Anyways, let's start off with what Q-Day actually is. People have heard it a bunch of times, but the actual definition, just a quick summary of what it is, Q-Day is the term that people use to describe the point when quantum computers become powerful enough to break many of the encryption methods that protect sensitive information today. Now, right now, banks, governments, hospitals, military organizations, and even your online accounts rely on encryption. That's very true. They rely on encryption algorithms, and these are considered secure against today's computers. But what you have to realize is that quantum computers could eventually solve certain mathematical problems much faster than the traditional computers. So that would make some of these encryption methods pretty vulnerable. And obviously, it's important to point out that nobody knows exactly when Q-Day will arrive. Some experts believe it's still many years away, while other organizations think they should begin preparing for this right now. And we have been seeing that trend, as you do know that Trump signed the two executive orders last week, preparing for this problem. That's one of the reasons that he signed those executive orders. And it's to increase funding into quantum computing. So obviously this has real world demand, and governments and institutions actually see and find value in quantum computing. So you got to realize, and you got to be asking yourself, and you probably have been asking yourself, why is it that people are even worried today to begin with? One of the most interesting concepts that I came across is something called the harvest now, decrypt later. We talked a little bit about that not yesterday, but a previous video that I did on last Thursday. Feel free to check it out. But the idea behind this term is very simple. I want you to imagine someone stealing encrypted government files today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. They may not be able to read those files today because the encryption is still secure, but instead of throwing the data away, they simply just store it, keep it stored somewhere safe. They keep it stored for themselves. And then, if quantum computers become powerful enough in the future, they could potentially decrypt that information years later. Quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying the content and want to connect with the community, check out the first link below for the free InvestQ community. And if you want access to advanced stock research and tools, the second link is a Prophecy 7-day trial for just $7. And last, if you want daily market updates and behind the scenes content, follow me on Instagram using the third link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. So that's why organizations aren't just thinking about today's threats, they're also thinking about protecting information that still needs to remain confidential many, many, many years from now. So why this matters for investors? Why? And if you're asking that, the reason is because governments, they aren't waiting until quantum computers arrive. Absolutely not. The United States has already directed federal agencies to begin preparing for the transition toward post-quantum cryptography. And they're preparing for the transition to post-quantum cryptography over the coming years. So the goal of this is to identify where current encryption is being used, excuse me guys, it's being used and gradually replace vulnerable systems with stronger quantum resistant alternatives. And whether that transition happens quickly or slowly remains to be seen. But it does create a potential long-term market for companies developing technologies designed specifically for that future. Now, where LAES, SEALSQ fits into all of this, historically, the company has been known for secure chips and hardware security. If you do follow my channel, or if you even are a shareholder or somebody that pays attention to SEALSQ, you would already know this. But what some investors and shareholders may not know is that recently management has been talking more about quantum resistant security and specialized hardware. So instead of relying on software updates, they are developing hardware that is designed with post-quantum cryptography in mind. So their goal is to build chips that can handle these newer encryption methods more efficiently. Now, one term that you'll also probably hear a lot, and we actually talked about this in the previous video. In fact, let's pull that up because I can just show it to you right here. So it's this right here, QASIC, QASIC, right there. So what this stands for is for quantum resistant application specific integrated circuit. The application specific integrated circuit is ASICs. ASICs. Now, I know that sounds incredibly technical, but here's an easier way to think about that. A CPU is designed to handle lots of different computing tasks, and a GPU is designed specifically for graphic and AI workloads. And a QASIC is designed specifically to perform quantum resistant cryptography efficiently. And instead of trying to force older chips to perform these demanding and complicated calculations, the hardware itself is built for the job from the very beginning. So the bigger picture, when I take a quick look, or not a quick look, but I take a step back, and we look at all of these SEALSQ's recent announcements together, I don't see isolated press releases anymore. What I see is management trying to build a broader quantum security ecosystem. And they are most definitely talking about secure semiconductors. And don't forget about custom chip design, quantum resistant hardware, and satellite security, and even infrastructure surrounding future quantum computing. Now, again, like I've done in the previous two videos I also did, in every single video I always do, what do we say? Don't marry a stock. I also want to keep things balanced, and basically all I'm saying is I'm just taking the risks into consideration. Even though I'm a shareholder of SEALSQ and I'm bullish on it, I always have my thesis and I always look at the risks. So quantum computing obviously is still an emerging technology. Nobody knows exactly how quickly the adoption will happen, and government mandates can take years to roll out. Competition in cybersecurity and semiconductors is intense, and SEALSQ still has to prove that it can execute on everything management is talking about. So while I do think that the opportunity is exciting, I also think investors should keep realistic expectations and continue watching the company's financial execution. And also be on the lookout to make sure forward guidance does not change and it remains bullish and there's no decline in forward guidance for the upcoming quarters and the upcoming years. So I've given my take on SEALSQ, my personal opinion, not financial advice. Let me know what it is you think about SEALSQ, and also feel free to comment below what it is you want to see in future upcoming videos. So with that being said, guys, again, David with InvestQ out. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.